Hello, Hugh Borg here. Welcome to the Boardcast for Friday, Good Friday, I guess. Just later in the day. It's turning into spring. It's nice. Here's a look at the beautiful Lake Ketchiwanuka. I'll have to get my dock in and get my boat in this spring so I can actually do some fishing. Anyways, that's not what I'm here for. The problem that is we're starting to see, and I've been noticing this online, is that the traffic of bots to out of the United States with respect to Canada, and the messaging and the notions about what Canada actually is and what we want, and defamation and really snide and snarky belittling of Canada, and the basically the ginning up of tension between Canada and the United States is telling me that, and these are bots. So I'm not taking any of this personally, but I'm looking at the data sources in front of me, and I'm seeing that it's pointing to signs of a nation, or at least a part of a nation that is ramping up things in order to build up the public momentum to engage in military activities. Before this Iran war started, my thoughts were that we would have maybe, like until this late summer, early fall, before we had to worry about Americans setting sights on Canada and taking resources. I thought that they probably would be doing more of a soft power sell by looking at our industries and our oil, and getting involved in our politics more than with the conservatives, and weaponizing that. But that has not happened. So now we're starting to see the next sort of evolution, the way that propaganda works when you're trying to gin up a country in order to create a casus belli, or a cause for war for the nation. Americans are good people. Half my family are Americans. I mean, my God, I spent a lot of time as a kid in the United States, and I have trained Americans. I have trained under Americans. One of the best university teachers I ever had was Lieutenant General Charles Cunningham Jr., and he taught me how intelligence systems work when I was at RMC. He like these. They're good people down there. So this is not a diss against Americans. I'm looking at the politics, and I'm looking at the tempo, and sort of like the mood and what they're trying to do right now. My prediction, and it's not prediction, but it's just my fear, is that we're going to see, after the Americans are forced to leave the Persian Gulf, and that's going to happen. Like, this is not going to end well for the Americans and the Israelis in the Middle East. Let's be optimistic and assume we don't get nukes going off down there, which is still on the bingo card. But when America backs out, they are going to be in a hurting state. Their dollar will crash, because this is probably, if anything's going to do it, this is going to be the war that basically kills the petrodollar and ensures that their currency loses a great deal of value. We see that with the bond market and things like that, and the rates going through the roof, because people are getting scared, like investors are getting scared of American debt. When their dollar crashes, when they lose this war, we might actually see, given the state of their economy at home and the lack of care that the Trump regime has done ham-handedly to try to keep their economy going, it's really very much, they will probably enter a period of hyperinflation, like what you saw or what we can see in historically, like what we saw in Germany after the end of the First World War, a country which is sort of breaking down. You need a shit ton of money in order just to buy a loaf of bread, and there are going to be problems. There's going to be starvation, there are going to be angry people, there are going to be hungry people. And the government, because they lost, are going to be panicking and paranoid and looking for another easy out. And guess who's got all the stuff that these folks ever want, well, it's us up here in Canada. Hi, Daisy. So what I think we will see is a ramping up of the tension and the ideas that Canada are being assholes to the United States, and how dare we be so mean to them and not do things. And my goodness, as Tucker Carlson this morning on his podcast said, we need to free them and liberate them from their communist dictatorship government. That's insane, of course, from a Canadian perspective, but to an American perspective, given that they are not well versed in what's actually happening to their own country, they don't have the historical background or the ability to see a lot of this stuff for what it is. I call it a blind spot of American exceptionalism. I don't know, I'll have to work on the metaphor for it, but the point being that do not expect, if the government of the United States loses the war in the Gulf, which they will, and retreats, which they will, and their economy crumbles, which it will, that they will not be looking at us as the easy meat on the table that they need to take in order to get back into a place of health. They will attack us to take our resources. I hope I'm wrong, and I'm not scared of this per se. These are just observations, and I'm just basing this on my war studies background and the fact that I pay attention to this sort of stuff and my understanding of human nature. But we are now entering a spring and a summer that is going to be a danger zone for a lot of Canadians. We need, this might be the last good summer. So I would recommend that before all this happens, like I said, my thought was it might happen by September, before the Iran war. Now the Iran war is going on. The Americans are very, very busy down there. So once that's done, the baleful eye of Sauron, if you will, is going to be again cast in our direction. That's where the danger will start. I don't expect anything to happen until probably next summer. So this might be our last good summer. But regardless of whether they attack us or not, there's one thing that's going to be very certain. Everything is a hell of a lot more expensive now because the oil industry has been, and the entire global economy has been compromised by the American actions. So things are going to get expensive. Food is going to be in short supply, fertilizer, all that stuff. Use this summer to the best of your ability, prep for the winter. By prepping, I'm not talking about getting yourself a bunker and loading up sandbags per se. That makes you happy, do it, but that's one thing. No, I mean is work on planning up here. How are you going to deal with it? Or how can your family deal with a hardship? What happens if the power goes out and doesn't come on for 2 or 3 weeks? How are you going to feed your family if there's nothing in the stores? So prior preparation, as my father, the bush pilot, always said, prevents piss poor performance. I would highly recommend that any Canadians who are concerned about their families or themselves or the future work together in a community, grow gardens, and there are a lot of community gardens that are starting to come up, and we are in the planting season now. I'm getting my beds out. Normally, I put a pile of sunflowers in, but I think this year I'm probably going to be focusing on root vegetables and things that will store for a very, very long time, like squash and things like that you can keep for a long time. We might see shortages. We will likely see shortages. These things happen. It's not something that we need to be scared of. It's just something we need to be aware of so that we can figure out the workarounds. Work together with your community. Talk to other people. If you're like me, a reclusive guy who doesn't like talking to people directly very much, get out of your comfort zone. Go down to community projects and talk to people, learn from others, and just to help the community brace for what might possibly happen. Who knows? Maybe I'm a complete moron. Maybe I'm just a paranoid lunatic, and this is not going to happen ever. But I've got a feeling in my stomach that we're about to see some even darker days ahead. So, I don't know. I'm, again, somebody asked me that. No, I'm not very fond of parties. But anyways, do your best, look to each other. And for now, from the Borg bunker, as I try to figure out what I'm going to be writing about tomorrow, have yourself a great afternoon and a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I hope that the kids get a lot of chocolate and candy. Anyways, from the Borg bunker, you have Borg out. Have yourselves a great day.